I'm about to reorganize my bookshelves, and beforehand I might as well show you the latest books I have purchased so I don't have to reorganize twice. So here's my September book haul. You're gonna see there's a little bit of everything, some new, some old, and different genres. Really, it was all over the place, but in a good way. I'm really excited. If you have read any of these, please let me know which ones I should prioritize, as always, but there's definitely some fall vibes. We're gonna start with that. I have read multiple books by Grady Hendrix, and this is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, which is one of the only ones I have yet to read. I've heard mixed reviews about all of his books, but in general, I feel like horror tends to be so hit and miss. And I have enjoyed, I think, 4 out of the 5 books I have tried by him. So I'm hopeful, especially because The Final Girl support group, I think, that one was the one I liked the least. And apparently, even though it wasn't published the first, it was the one that he started writing first, or something like that. So that would explain why I had some issues with it that I didn't find with his other works. I'm hoping that I'm also going to like this. It is vampire, but in general, he tends to write books that are like very like camp, basically like classic horror, kind of almost making fun of the genre, but in a good way. In this case, you're following this woman and she's kind of unhappy in life, but she has this book club that she really enjoys. And then she falls in love with this mysterious man who I'm assuming is going to be a vampire. And we'll see. Like I said, at this point I've read like 5 of his books, so I might as well read them all. One that is proper horror is Seed. I've been trying to get more and more into the genre because I used to kind of hate it, especially endings. I feel like in general, horror, again, endings can be so hit and miss, but I've been finding more and more books that I enjoy that are horror. So I thought I would just go ahead and follow recommendations I've seen, and this one was quite popular, like actually proper scary book. In this one, you follow a man who as a kid he ran away from where he used to live because there was this entity, I don't know if it's like a demon or what, and it finds him again later on when he's older and he has a kid. So I'm assuming it's going to happen again. I don't know if it's like possession, haunted house, or just the specific demon after him, but in general these combinations tend to work for me, and it's quite short. Apparently you can read it super quickly and it's going to make you scared, which I want that. I want to actually be scared. I feel like sometimes I'll feel uncomfortable. There are definitely books that did that, but scared I feel like is hard. So we'll see. I'm curious. The next one, I totally freaked out when I saw it because this is a 2025 release. Why is it here? I did notice like it's a little damaged. I tried to only get the ones in good condition, but like there's no bookmark or anything. So I don't know what happened, which actually, what is that? I don't know if you're going to see it. There's some kind of little ball. Maybe that's what made the line. Because I looked in person. Yeah, there's a little bit of damage from it, but barely any damage. It's brand new. Super excited. I have been really trying to avoid buying fantasy books the last couple of years because I have too many on my shelves. And actually it's part of the reason that I want to reorganize, and I want to do read versus unread so I can visually see everything I haven't read yet, so I can feel the pressure, but you know, just see my TBR. I have been doing my Read It on Haul It challenge, the giant jar, and we started a year with 450 unread books on my shelf, and I've been, you know, slowly but surely going through them, although I have been also buying a few books. But I think that seeing them all will make me just more motivated to read them and just see everything that I have instead of, you know, the mix of both and the random piles, which I'm not going to show you. So that's why I've barely bought any new fantasy except like The Will of the Many last year, but that was a 5-star. And it's because I kept seeing it and everyone giving it 5 stars, so I got sucked in. And I feel like it's going to be the same thing with this one because I've only seen 5-star. A few people mentioned it in the comment section. I was like, this is a sign I need it. So, The Raven Scholar, the first book in an adult fantasy series, it contains a murder mystery in a fantasy world, which is something that has been really working for me lately. And the main character, she is supposed to investigate what happened. They don't actually say what happened to the Emperor. It just says that his reign comes to an end, and there's a few people, 7 people that are chosen as possible replacement, but one of them is murdered, and then that's what the main character is hired to do. She has to figure out what happened, and yes, that's all I need to know. I'm sold. Scholar is making me think dark TV show, which it doesn't sound like it is, but in my head it screams fall, so I really want to try to read it like now if possible. I haven't given 5-star to that many books this year, although 3 of them in the last month. So we want to, you know, continue. So I think I'm going to make time for that very, very soon. I also put the books that you guys recommend that sound appealing to me on a list. And when I find them, obviously I grab them, including this one, which it's been a while. So I don't 100% remember the reasoning, so feel free to confirm in the comment section if I'm wrong or not, but this was the winner for the Nobel Prize in Literature, and I've been trying to try some other popular books from popular lists just to see if they work for me. I feel like it's always fun to find a new place where you can get recommendations that work for you. So this is Drive Your Plow Over the Bones, which that title, but you're following this woman, and I think she's older, and I've been saying how much I want to find more books with older female characters because there's only so many, 16-year-old you can follow before you want something else. And she is like older, recluse kind of thing, and there is a murder. Yeah, her neighbor is found dead, and I think she's going to try to investigate, which, again, I have been on the kick for murder mystery, so finally another murder mystery, but this one cozy. This one I did buy new. This is Murder at Gull's Nest. I have a smaller used bookstore next to me, but they also have some sections that are like newer books, and this sounded really fun. It's set in the 50s, but the main character receives letters from this person. I think they're friends, or they're saying former novice. And the letters stop arriving. So she goes to that boarding house to investigate because in that letter she said, I believe every one of us at Gull's Nest is concealing some kind of secret. And when she arrives there, a bunch of murders start happening. So I think it's going to be like lock room murder mystery, which huge fan of that too. And because it's set in a like seaside town, in my head that sounds cozy. So I'm going to try that. Hopefully that will work. Now, one book that is outside of my comfort zone is Broken Country. I do like to try books that are not necessarily my main genre, and I wanted to try more from the Reese Witherspoon book club. Again, when you go outside of your comfort zone, they can be more hit and miss, but sometimes you find some that you really love, and this one is historical fiction romance, and I've seen great reviews. Obviously, again, I might not agree, but I wanted to try it. The main character lives in this smaller town. She got married to this really nice farmer, and then one day one of their sheep is attacked by this dog. They kill it, and turns out the dog was owned by this man that she used to be in love with, broke her heart, and he's back in town, and I believe her husband is going to die because it says the farmer is dead, he's dead, and all anyone wants to know is who killed him. So I'm assuming there's going to be some drama. Is she going to choose, her former love interest? Stay with the memory of her husband? I don't know. But I've heard great things, so I wanted to give it a shot. Another murder mystery. This one is a psychological thriller, actually. This is Kill for Me, Kill for You, which these two women basically decide to kill for each other, I guess, to try and get away with it. But I've been really wanting to try more psychological thrillers because I don't really find any. I'm really picky, I think, with them. I feel like the popular ones I've seen, I've tried them and they don't work for me. But I love them in theory. Like the ones that I've loved, I really love them and I want more. So hopefully I will enjoy this one because, again, this one is quite popular. I've seen great reviews, so I'm hopeful. The next one, I was so excited for it that I already read it. So this is The Late Night Witches. This is a cozy fantasy, and I have really enjoyed these two of the books by the author, and I wanted to try more. Unfortunately, I didn't like it. The main character is feeling really lost in life. She's married, but her husband basically left them, really, and she has 3 kids. She's just, burnt out. And then one day, vampires come to town, and it turns out she's a witch. So it could have been really fun. Unfortunately, she spends like 95% of the books doubting herself, and there's only so much of that I can take. Like, I obviously have a lot of compassion for her in the beginning, but eventually got on my nerve, and like the story wasn't progressing as much as I wanted it to. And I'm a big fan of witches, and like she spends basically the whole book unable to use her power because she's doubting herself. Anyway, unfortunately that didn't work for me, but I still recommend her other books. Among the Burning Flowers was on my Amazon wish list. Thank you so much, Zach. This is the prequel, or the second prequel in this series. The Prior of the Orange Tree is the technically standalone book, the first book, and then there was the first prequel, A Day of Fallen Night. And this one is set in between the two, but you do need to read both of them. You can start anywhere between these two, but you need to have read them to read this. I would recommend this to anyone that is a die-hard fan of the series, because it's the first one that it's so skinny. Or are the books? Let me grab them. These are the other books in the series, and like they are chunky. So that's why in comparison, this one is so skinny. I did really like it. I actually had the ARC, the Advanced Reader copy, and I'm really glad to have a physical copy because her covers are absolutely gorgeous. Epic adult fantasy with dragons, end world trying to happen over and over again. But yeah, this one is definitely for the diehard fans. I highly recommend the series in general though. I did pick up 2 nonfiction. I will be doing either next, or maybe it was the previous video. I'm about to film it basically. My library TBR, because I have been on a nonfiction kick and I like to use my library as much as possible because it's almost impossible to find interesting nonfiction or the ones that I find appealing next to me. I have found 2, so I wanted to talk about them. The first one is The Address Book: What Street Addresses Reveal About Identity, Race, Wealth, and Power, which I don't know if you've heard of the idea that basically studies have been done and they can tell you based on your address, your postal code, how much money you're going to make, how much education you're going to get, just because of where you live and how it is that deep. I don't know if you've heard people say like, oh, it's not that deep. Everything is that deep, including your own postal code. So when I saw that, I was like, this is perfect. I want to learn more about this. So that's the first one. And the second one is The Organ Thieves: The Shocking Story of the First Heart Transplant in the Segregated South, which I don't want to go into conspiracy theories, but I feel like I kept hearing people say that doctors are harvesting organs from people, which like I really don't want to go into that debate. But when I saw that book, I was like, you know what? This is where these ideas are coming from. I'm not saying it's not sometimes true. Again, do not want to debate that. But I saw that book and was like, that is a very interesting conversation to have, because in this one, it's about this man, this Black man who got a head injury and then his family was told that he passed away. But then when they arrived at the funeral home, his heart was gone. So yes, I wanted to learn more about it. The reviews seemed to be a bit mixed, but the topic seemed appealing, so I wanted to try it. The next one is technically young adult, but it's another book that I had received multiple times as a recommendation in my comment section, so I grabbed it. It's also pink. The Grace Year, which in this one is like sci-fi, I guess dystopian, I should say. I haven't read a ton of dystopian in a while, and in the back it does say speculative YA thriller in the vein of the Hunger Games, which I feel like sometimes it reminds me, how old is that? Because it reminds me of like, you know, when there's one popular series, every book is compared to it afterwards. 2019, so I feel like it's a bit too recent to be compared to the Hunger Games. Either way, it sounded appealing. Basically, in that world, girls, whenever they hit 16, they're sent away in like nature for a year to release their magic into the wild, and so they can return purified and ready for marriage. But the reason I picked it up is because at the end it says that the book examines the complex and sometimes twisted relationships between girls, the women they will eventually become, and the difficult decisions they make in between. So I was like, okay, you know what? The recommendation plus that part, I was like, okay, that sounds appealing. So I'm gonna try that eventually. Or it will end up in the giant jar and I'll be forced to pick it up. I also picked up this one called Breath of the Dragon. I picked it up because Thunderlee's name. I am still mad at her, okay? I read the Greenbone Saga, which if you have yet to read it, you need to. I was so emotionally invested in these characters. I wasn't sold after the first book, to be completely honest, but you have to keep going. I mean, you don't have to. But you know, sometimes people are like, you have to, and you're like, no, I'm not going to. You need to. It took me like a little while, a few years in between book 1 and 2, and I cried multiple times reading book 2 and 3. So like, you know, invested. So I haven't forgiven her, but I saw her name and was like, maybe I do want to read more fantasy by her. In this one, main character is 16 and he's participating in this tournament to get a lot of honor. Like, I don't remember exactly, what is it? The Guardians tournament, and he would get to become the person that has to guard this magical scroll. And by doing that, not only would he prove himself, he would also try to help his family reputation because they were basically exiled. Like, his father was banished, basically. So obviously his family doesn't want him to do that, but he's gonna do it, and hopefully I'm gonna enjoy it. The last physical book I got, I haven't been reading a lot of sci-fi, and I miss it, but I have about 2 brain cells available at the moment, so I don't know. But this one, at first I saw the cover and I was like, ooh, cover buy. But then I read the synopsis and it sounds actually appealing. So the main character used to be a thief, the best thief in the galaxy, but she is basically forced to retire. She's currently a graduate student. So she keeps having these weird visions of the future. And then an old friend gives her a new job that she can't say no to. She has to find this artifact that could save an alien race from extinction, but nobody's ever seen it. It sounded cool. Maybe it will make me go back to reading more sci-fi. It's not super long, so... And it is pretty. I feel like I was looking at the Goodreads Choice Award last year for sci-fi, and so many of them had really pretty covers, but most of them had horrible ratings. And like, I don't always agree with people, especially for the Goodreads Choice Award, but I was really sad that sci-fi hasn't sounded that appealing. And maybe it's just not just me. Maybe it's actually what has been, released, but I'm going to try this one. And I was saying last physical book because I do have 3 audiobooks that I want to share. They are from Libro.fm, which is an app, by the way. Let me give it a shout out. Basically, by using them to get your audiobooks, they are sharing their profit with an independent bookstore close to you of your choosing. So I thought it was really cool. And they do give access to influencers to a couple books every month. So I do pick some whenever they sound appealing to me. And I had a little bit of a moment, okay? Fever dream. My fingers, I had no control, and I picked up 3 of them, like I said, that are like cozy fall romances. Basically, I haven't been listening to a lot of audiobooks this year. I don't know why. It's just not happening. But these 3, I thought maybe they would help me out. So the first one is the most popular in that selection of this month of September, and it is Ladies in Hating. I believe this is a historical fiction fantasy romance, like sapphic romance, and it's enemies to lovers. And I feel like I haven't read that many like sapphic romances that are enemies to lovers, so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try it, and people seem to be picking this one up, so I'm curious. The next one, the title is the most Hallmark movie kind of title I've ever seen, and it is the Honeycrisp Orchid Inn. Arcade Inn. So this young woman who is from the big city, she is a young event planner, and she returns to her family inn to help out during the Harvest Festival. And of course, there's this handsome son of the apple orchid owners. I don't know if it's going to be spicy. I think it mentions a little bit of something, which is really not my cup of tea, but I thought, you know what, that sounds like just good fun. And during the fall, yes, if I have time, I definitely want to try this one. And the last one is definitely the one that I'm like, I don't know, but my camera literally stopped recording. Maybe it's a bad sign, but I also picked up The Gingerbread Bakery. I will be honest, I read or listened to The Pumpkin Spice Cafe because it was going everywhere, and people were so divided about it. They either loved it or hated it. I was straight in the middle. I felt like both sides were exaggerating. Obviously, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but I felt like it was fine. I didn't really care for the spice, but like the book was fine. And I've heard that it gets better, and I saw, this is the newest release, maybe during Christmas. I will be in the mood to try something. It sounds like it could just be a cozy one. So I picked it up. I'll keep you updated. That's it. These are all the books that I picked up in the last couple of weeks. I think there are some really fun ones. I'm sure I'm going to really enjoy them. Actually, the ones I'm the most excited about, I like doing that. Psychological thriller. I need to make time for this one. This one for something cozy. Absolutely this one, because I want a 5-star. And this one. I think this is my top 4. I want to be scared. I want to have a cozy murder mystery. I want to have a good psychological thriller. I haven't found one in forever, and I think this is my next 5-star. That's my prediction. So let me know if there's anything else that you think I should prioritize or anything that you want to pick up for the Patreon book club. I'm going to post a poll. It's going to be there. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thumbs up, subscribe. I'll put more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out, including most recent reading vlog I have done, and then I did a video talking about the most frequently abandoned books according to Goodreads. That was a lot of fun. So I will see you in my next video. Bye.